What's going on, guys? This is CJ here. Um, it's been a while since I did any of these kind of, I guess, vlogs and stuff. This isn't really a vlog so much of thoughts and such. So, it just came out today that HBO Max is putting out the Justice League Snyder Cut, and the first thing that comes to mind for me is why. If you didn't know, the Snyder Cut was something that was drummed up by a lot of fans because, as you know, during the production of Justice League, Zack Snyder pretty much had to leave, I believe, halfway through production due to, I believe, the death of his daughter. So Josh Whedon had to take over. They had to do a lot of script rewrites and stuff to kind of pretty much finish out the movie and stuff, finish up the second half of the movie, um, and really just kind of bring it home in terms of the overarching story. And what ended up happening was that you got a movie that, while you pretty much got the basis of what Zack Snyder was trying to do from beginning, middle, and end, um, you could tell that him not being there, they had to really get something going. Like the basic outline of the movie of what Zack Snyder was doing was there, but it was just stuff that was added to kind of, get the story to its end point of what it needed to be. So for a while after the movie came out and the movie really didn't do as great business and stuff, I mean, it did pretty bad. I mean, when Ant Man and Ant Man and the Wasp are two movies that end up making way more money than Justice League, then there's problems. So after the movie came out, pretty much WB was at a point where they was like, all right, we're done with the Zack Snyder experiment. Let's start anew. And then we got Aquaman, Shazam, and the rest is history. But for a while, there was always these rumblings of a Snyder cut. Because at first it was basically, well, clearly there were, a lot of the fandom were basically saying, well, clearly there was another version of Justice League that was directed by Zack Snyder. Because if you remember, if you look at the trailers and stuff, you saw there was different scenes that wasn't in the movie. Which, if you watch movies, that's a thing that happens, right? So for a while, it was always these rumors and stuff of, oh, a Snyder cut, and all of us were just like, that's bullshit. There's no Snyder cut. Just because you saw unused scenes that wasn't in the movie proper doesn't mean there's a cut. Then Zack Snyder ended up kind of adding fuel to the fire by throwing in these different tidbits and stuff. There was a scene, basically a storyboard scene that wasn't 100% filmed, where it was Barry Allen saving Iris West from getting hit by a car. I think it was Kirstie Clemens was supposed to be Iris West, and it was basically a storyboard slash. I think it was a scene that was filmed, but not really. Because she was supposed to be in the film, and then she ended up not being in the film, and then she's supposed to be in this Flash movie that's supposed to be coming out, but then now she's not. So they had a storyboarded sort of rough cut of the scene filmed and stuff, but it wasn't really finished all the way through and stuff. It was just, again, just a storyboard kind of idea of what the scene was. Then you had things like the whole shit with Cyborg and his little plot line of how he became Cyborg and stuff. I guess it's supposed to be a flashback and stuff. Now, if you remember the Justice League trailer and stuff, there were scenes of a football game being played, which Victor Stone was a football player and stuff, and I guess that was supposed to be kind of a backstory and stuff, which clearly didn't make the movie and stuff. These things happen because if you've seen any movie, whether it's the Marvel movies or just any movie period, there's always deleted scenes or extended footage that never made it into the movie due in part to pacing issues or it just didn't fit the movie. It happens. Me and the guys, we just recorded an episode for about Ice Cube's Friday movie, the first movie, and we saw the extended version of that movie that had a lot of extended scenes, added footage, added in back into the movie and stuff, which were, if you own the DVD, they were basically deleted scenes and stuff, but they put those deleted scenes and extended footage back into the film proper. And when you watch the movie, some of the stuff that was put back in, it works. Others, it doesn't really work so much, and it just, it runs long. These things happen. So on top of the Cyborg stuff, there was all these ideas like apparently There was a Green Lantern was actually supposed to be in the movie, and not just that scene where of Darkseid invading Earth and stuff, and a Green Lantern, that a random Green Lantern appeared. He was actually supposed to be in the movie proper, which was supposed to lead into Justice League 2. Darkseid was going to have a presence in the movie near the end of the film. Just all these different ideas that Zack Snyder was putting out there, from like just um, again, storyboard footage and concept art and things like that. It wasn't nothing that was filmed. It was just ideas that he wanted to put into the film. So for the longest time, again, even with all the stuff that Zack Snyder was putting, tweeting out and linking up and stuff, there was never any definitive, oh, there's a Snyder cut. And yet a lot of people were pushing this notion that there was a Snyder cut. Okay. So it brings me to today, where we got announced that the Snyder Cut of Justice League is going to be dropping in 2021. Now, here's the thing. There was never a Snyder Cut. I want people to understand that. There was never a Snyder Cut. Here's why I say there was never a Snyder Cut. Because here's the thing. If you got to, because basically Warner Brothers is giving him, I think they say it's between 20 to 30 million dollars to do reshoots and jumble together all these reshoots and ideas and all this extra unused footage into the movie. But really all it is the thing of it is, if you have to call in cast members to sit there and do, voice, stuff, voiceovers and stuff, and you got to jumble together all this unused footage to make it coherent, then that means there was never a Snyder Cut in the first place. And to me, the fact that a lot of people today were on some like, oh, that means the Snyder Cut existed all along. No, it didn't. It never existed. I want to give you a good example of what the Snyder Cut is. The Snyder Cut, here's what the Snyder Cut is. The Snyder Cut, at least on the front end, it's like the Star Wars original trilogy special editions. You didn't inherently add anything to the movie that moves the needle to make people really look at the movie differently. You're just adding in all these ideas to try to, again, make a coherent narrative. And inherently, he's pretty much making a brand new movie. He's literally making a brand new movie. And to me, it still isn't going to change people's minds about it. And people sit there and say, see, it was always going to happen. It was never going to happen. If HBO Max never existed and it was never going to happen, that quote-unquote Snyder Cut was never going to happen. It was never going to happen. And to me, this is nothing but a bad idea, because while, sure, to me it's like this. This is HBO Max, well, HBO, the company and stuff, Warner Media. This is them trying to get people to buy into the $15 a month thing. Now think about it. You think about the fact that Disney Plus, right, for instance, all the stuff that they had on there on Disney Plus, that's what was getting people in. But the added caveat to really grab people's attention was The Mandalorian. Like, that was a brand new show. It got people instantly in. You get one episode a week, one episode per week and stuff over the course of, I think it was 12 episodes or so. And it really gripped you and made you buy into Disney Plus. And then once The Mandalorian was done, it was like, hey, I'll check out these other shows. I'll check out these other movies. I'll check out the Marvel movies on there and stuff. It was something to grab your attention and get. Now, my thing is this. HBO Max doing this, they didn't really need to do it. They didn't have to do it. And to me, it basically kind of reeks of desperation a little bit. And they didn't need to, because you already had the content on your on HBO Max already. And it just, to me, this reeks of them feeling as though they're doing something great, but they're not doing anything great. The fact that you have to put $30 million up, I'm just going to go in and say it, they're going to give the dude $30 million to do a cut of a movie that, let's be real about this, the basis of the movie itself, the meat of the movie, beginning, middle, and end, is still going to be the same. And you're adding in all this unused footage and all these ideas that's really not going to flesh out the movie like you think it is. I think back to when there was the Snyder cut of Batman versus Superman, and I remember watching it, and I was like, all the added footage was like, okay, some of it was fine, but like, did it really change the fact that the movie was a clusterfuck? Did it change the fact that they literally introduced us to Cyborg, Aquaman, and Wonder Woman by having Batman put a thumb drive into his computer and watch footage that people somehow got of these characters? Did it change the fact that Batman literally had a dream of the Nightmare Verse, which that's inherently, I guess, where the Snyder cut of Justice League is going to kind of pivot off of, is those dreams and stuff. And I'm just like, I gotta be real, guys. The ideas that you're hearing about the Snyder cut, and I'll go through it in a minute, is stuff that in the recent Justice League Apocalypse War, that's basically what you're gonna get in the Snyder cut. Which means that you, number one, you're not missing anything, and number two, it really isn't that good. I don't personally, I don't feel Justice League Apocalypse War was that great. It just felt very nonsensical and just senseless. But that's just my opinion on that. We'll probably do a podcast on that later, and I'll expand on it. But like, what you saw in Justice League Apocalypse War, that's pretty much what you're gonna get, and Barry Allen is gonna fix everything. To which I'm just like, well, that's stupid. And like, so let's run down the list. Let's run down the list of stuff. So basically, so basically, in the Snyder cut, the invasion of Earth, which you saw in the backstory that they showed in Justice League, Darkseid was leading it instead of Steppenwolf. So Darkseid was going to face off against Ares, okay, and you were going to see more of the old gods and the King of Men and all that and stuff, during that whole scene. Um, basically by the end of the movie, Wonder Woman was going to be the one that was going to decapitate fucking Steppenwolf, and his head was going to go through a boom tube and land at Darkseid's feet. And then, the League was going to see Darkseid in the boom tube, and that was going to lead into Justice League 2. Okay, fine, whatever. Um, so you had Cyborg's origin story, which I already elaborated on. I mean, if you saw the trailers for the movie, that was basically going to be probably a flashback to Victor, kind of thinking back to how he became who he was and stuff. So that was going to be there. Um, there was supposed to be, I believe, in the when Vic's dad got taken by the parademons, he was supposed to be, flying out there searching for his father and fighting against a bunch of parademons in the air and stuff. Um, there was a bunch of storyboards that were going to, have Cyborg basically given the history of the mother boxes and stuff over the history of the world, which I'm like, okay. Um, basically Cyborg having a vision of the nightmare, and Darkseid coming and stuff, which I guess inherently dictates that we were going to get this nightmare universe and stuff. So that there, Bruce finding basically Bruce fighting parademons and stuff, which you saw at the beginning of the actual Justice League movie proper. That was pretty much going to tie into him using that mugger as bait, because he was pretty much hunting down parademons and stuff because they were making appearances in Gotham. So that was that, and also him finding Arthur Curry. I mentioned earlier about the whole thing with Barry saving Iris from a crash and stuff, which again, it was storyboarded, but it was never completed and stuff, and they pretty much just scrapped the scene entirely and stuff. The battle on Heroes Park, you were going to have Barry try to like punch Superman multiple times. There was going to be parademons there and stuff, because if you remember the scene, Steppenwolf and the parademons come down and take the mother box while the League is fighting Superman and stuff. So there was going to be a little bit of a skirmish and stuff where they were going to fight Steppenwolf before he takes the piece and stuff. So you were going to get that little bit of fight sequence and stuff. Um, Lois Lane, there was going to be more added scenes with her and her having a conversation with Martha Kent about Clark's death and grieving and stuff, and her talking to Alfred about what was happening and stuff. Um, Superman, by the end of the movie, wasn't going to be like the one that was going to save the day, but he was going to actually help out during the fight and stuff. And like I said, it was going to be Wonder Woman that was going to actually get the deciding blow on Steppenwolf and stuff. So okay, Aquaman, the fight in the area where the mother box was. It was going to be a long fight with Steppenwolf, Aquaman, and Mera, where they were going to fight parademons while they were fighting Steppenwolf and stuff. And if you watch the scene itself, you do see some dead parademon bodies, which is kind of weird, but it also shows clearly there was going to be a bigger scene than that. And also at the end, you were going to get Mera and what's his face, his mentor, coming to him saying that, hey, we need a journey to Atlantis, and that was supposed to carry over into the Aquaman movie, which clearly that didn't happen and stuff. Um, and also too, there was going to be an extra extended sequence in Themyscira when Steppenwolf comes in and attacks and stuff. And also, I think Cyborg's dad Silas was the one that was going to help them, uh, revive Superman. So those are just some of the things that was going to be a part of the movie, and it still comes down to what's that all going to inherently add to the movie overall. And I don't think it's going to be something that's going to change people's minds about the film, if I'm going to be real. Um, I just I honestly don't know what people want out of it. I know a lot of people saying, "Well, don't sit there and ruin everybody's excitement for it." That's fine if you're excited for it, cool. But like, director's cuts of movies to me have to do something that moves the needle. When you think back to something like, say, the Donner cut of Superman, right? The Donner cut of Superman pretty much expanded and made a movie that's already good by itself and elevated it a bit better now. Because now, if you remember the original theatrical cut of Superman, they didn't really emphasize Jor-El as much and his influence on Clark, and they emphasized his mom more so than Jor-El. And when you watch the Donner cut, there's a lot of scenes and that the whole movie is pretty much played up straightforward. It has some funny moments and stuff, obviously, because it's Superman. He's gonna have that, save the day moment. But it was pretty much the vision that Donner wanted. Now, the difference between the Donner cut and the Snyder cut is that the Donner cut is adding scenes that were already done. It was already filmed, and they're just adding it into the movie that already existed. The thing about the Snyder cut is that while there's already deleted scenes there's a lot of scenes that were never taken care of and done. Again, as I said earlier, they were just storyboarded. So the thing about the Richard Donner cut is that it was, since Donner had already filmed those scenes and you already had a finished theatrical cut of the movie, it wasn't that hard to just add those scenes back into the movie and make little minor tweaks in terms of how scenes translated. Because if you know, basically that's what Richard Donner did. He added in all the scenes that he did to the theatrical cut that I think Lester, who was the director that took over when Donner left, got off the project. He basically Donner spliced his footage in with what Lester had in his film already, and it ended up actually making a very cohesive movie and stuff. Now, obviously, they had to make a little minor changes to fit those, to kind of make it streamline into the film. A lot of editing and stuff, but basically, these are scenes that were already done. They didn't really have to spend any money to do that. And the thing of it is, that's the basis of a director's cut. It's basically adding scenes that would otherwise be in the deleted scenes and extra scenes, and it's putting it back in the movie. As I said earlier, when you watch the extended cut of Friday, those scenes were already done. You can put that in the movie and it still works and stuff. It's not unfinished, it's finished products, and you can just throw it back in the movie. And this Snyder cut, to me, I don't feel as though it's going to be to that level that people feel it's going to be. So ultimately, at the end of the day, I don't know what people want out of it. And it is what it is. I honestly don't know. Sorry about that. I had to sit there and mess around with that. Anyways, So my point is that I don't foresee this being a thing that's going to inherently move the needle for the Justice League movie as a whole. And it's just, to me, everybody's making a big deal out of it. Everybody's like losing their fucking minds over it, like it's the end of the world and it's going to really be great. And I can't really sit there and say this movie's going to be as great as people make it out to be and stuff. And yeah, what are you going to do? And to me, this whole experiment, I don't really see it working out to where like everybody's excited for it and that's fine, but like I honestly think it's going to be, I'm not gonna say a train wreck, but I don't feel it's gonna do what a director cut does, which is inherently enhance the movie and make you look at the movie differently. Because I feel at the end of the day, with all the changes that I racked off that the Snyder cut was supposed to have in it, nothing about it feels as though it's going to be anything that's going to change the minds of people that already feel meh about the movie. Because I think what you're gonna have is a movie that, instead of it being here and your director cut is going to it's going to elevate it to here, where people can be like, huh, well, maybe they should have kept those things in there and it would have made for a better experience. I feel it's just going to still stay there. It ain't going to really move the needle up or down and stuff. I mean, I don't think you can go down, but I do feel, again, in a DCEU up to that point, I feel it's just going to serve as a reminder that at the end of the day, they rushed the product to what they got now. They rushed it straight up, and I know people are gonna probably disagree and stuff, but that's just, it's the some reality. This Snyder cut is a some reality of this whole Snyder DCEU era that he was doing and stuff, where you had a rushed product. You had a good first movie in Man of Steel, which, divisive as it was and stuff, you still came away from Man of Steel like, you know what, whatever gripes you have from it, hopefully they can improve on it. But then all of a sudden you give us Batman v Superman, and you're like, whoa, 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 wait a minute. Like, we haven't even had enough time with Superman to really embrace him as a character to where we can see him fight Batman. And then you look at Batman v Superman, another product that was rushed and stuff, and they gave us again another Snyder cut, and it's just it's filling in holes in a product that at the end of the day it didn't really change your mind on it. Like my mentality about BVS didn't change even looking at the extended cut. Again, it didn't, it just stayed here. It didn't go up. It didn't make me sit there and say, oh man, this really, it just is like, it's still there because your added scenes did things, but your overall movie, it's still there. The bullshit with Doomsday is still there. Superman, the death of Superman stuff is still rushed. It's still there, and it doesn't have any weight because, again, we only had one movie that was the origin of Superman, and then boom, you give us Death of Superman just like that. You didn't give us enough time to really enjoy the character, And then Suicide Squad, another movie that, to be honest with you, I'd rather see a director's cut of that, but that's a different story altogether. And then Wonder Woman, great movie and stuff. And then boom, Justice League, just like that. And you're just like, you just don't feel as though you had enough time with the characters to really love them. And it's like, it's amazing that, you watch Justice League, you enjoy Aquaman, and then you look at the Aquaman movie, and it's like a night and day difference. And as much as Aquaman was like 3 movies in one, it was a very damn good movie, top to bottom. Like that, like it's the simple basics of Aquaman that you just wish that that's how these movies should have been beforehand, and it just wasn't there. And it's just, at the end of the day, just to kind of close all this out, if people are happy about it, fine. But I don't feel you should expect it to be this grandiose movie that's going to be so great. I don't personally feel it is. But, if you feel free, you want to, put in the comments below and sound off about it, go for it. I just personally feel it's not going to be to that level that it should be. So, but anyway, that's my thoughts. I just wanted to get that out there because I just feel a lot of people. Again, there was never a Snyder cut. There wasn't. There was never a finished product of a Snyder cut. It was just ideas and unfinished stuff that people duped themselves into thinking was a finished product. That's it, and that's all. And people need to realize that. So that's it. That's all I got. So, you know, that's it. Peace.